Hey everybody, welcome to the AME television show. I am your host Jason Dowd, and this is a very special show because it is the last show for season 3 of the AME television show. I can't believe it's been 3 seasons already, but it just flies by. We're having some great guests on. We're going to be doing some more point of view experiences and so much more in the next coming weeks as we gear up for season 4. So to close out season 3, I have a couple of very special guests on because they are dear friends of mine. My first friend is Shaun Klucznik, and we're going to be talking about leadership. I've known Shaun since middle school, and he's an amazing individual who has a lot of insight. And you know what? He knows how to get you going, and he knows how to be a leader. That's pretty much what we're talking about. You know, not everybody is cut out to be a leader, but everybody can be if they want to be. And that's some of the things we're going to be discussing here on today's show. Now, these are things that we're going to be talking about that are extremely useful in everyday life. You don't necessarily have to be a leader of a corporation or a business or a Boy Scout troop or anything else to be able to benefit from these tips and tricks that we're going to tell you. And we're going to be doing more of this. So this is like the first installment. Believe it or not, we can go on for a long, long time about this. So, without further ado, let's go talk to Shaun Klucznik right now. Hey everybody, we are back. I have my friend Shaun Klucznik on the phone here, and we're going to be talking about something that I think everybody really needs to understand. It's leadership. Leadership has a profound impact on our communities, our lives, our businesses, everything. And there are some that are meant to be leaders, and there are some that are not. But one of the things that I do know is that there is the difference between a boss and a leader. And I don't think people quite know the definition of that. But we're going to describe that today. We're going to be talking about some of the traits that we need to experience as a leader to be an effective leader, and we're going to help you get to that point if that's what you strive to be. So, welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. So, leadership. This is something that we all think that we are, but not all of us are capable of doing it effectively. Obviously, everybody's a leader, nobody's a follower, but we've seen that that's not the case out in society. But I think to start this off, we really need to define what is the difference between a leader and a boss, because I don't think people understand that. And when they understand how uniquely different it is, I think that will open up their eyes to the rest of the stuff that we're going to talk about. So what is the difference between a leader and a boss?
Well, what I've thought over my career has been leaders develop. People want to say leaders develop followers. Natural leaders do develop followers. You have a lot of people constantly pinging you with ideas. Hey, what do you think about this? How do I get to this job? How do I get to this promotion? How do I improve myself? Looking for guidance. A boss, you're not going to find that. Bosses are usually more of a manager. A pure manager is somebody who just manages processes and doesn't treat people as people. One of the things I've learned in my 23 years in my current career and a little bit before then is true leaders develop relationships with everybody.
That is true.
So if you have, you work running a shift, running a company, running a division in a large corporation or a large government agency or something like that, it's imperative that you develop relationships. True relationships, not fake relationships. Hey, how's your kids? How's the family? It's better yet, how's your wife Tammy? How are your kids doing at T-ball? Knowing something about them and just being genuinely vested in that person. Because clearly, if you're the leader, the boss, you're only as successful as your troops are going to let you be. If they're gonna drive for you or put in the extra hours, a little bit extra effort for you, it's only because they respect you and they recognize that there's a relationship there with you, and they know that you are constantly going to have their best interests in your heart, in your mind. Because eventually you get to a certain position in any organization. If you're the GM of the football team, your job is to make sure those players are as successful as possible. It's not you're not playing the game. You're lining up the team, make sure they're successful. I think pro sports is not a good example. It's a bunch of individuals typically in most organizations. But in real life, where we have jobs that work for businesses or different agencies, your capital is your people. The most, like in a government agency, this is where I work. The most expensive, and it's anywhere else, the most expensive part of your budget is definitely your staff. So if you have to invest in them to make sure they're staying there, and you're going to get as much output as possible. But when it becomes a relationship, I'm not talking about a relationship where you get off work and you're going to go to the bar or go have a barbecue every weekend. But knowing good and well, when you show up and they have a question for you, or something goes wrong, you're going to have their back.
Yeah. I had an incident when I was in high school. I was working at Scotty's, and I had just I think I just got out of school. I think it was like first year in college, and I was a key carrier, and I went into a store that the manager there was a boss. He told you what to do. You never saw him. That's just the way he operated. So when I went in there, they had just removed their manager for stealing, obviously. And it was kind of shocking. So I got in there, and I wasn't the manager. I was just kind of like in there temporary. And I ended up being there full time. But the guys up there, I asked them, I said, look, can you please go over there and empty that pallet in the middle of the store so that way I can get that out to the back. And I got other things I got to do. I got some paperwork to do, and I also got some stuff to do on the floor here. And I came back around it, and it still wasn't done. And I asked him again, please go do this. I'm not. I wasn't barking at him or nothing. He didn't do it. So he comes back a little later, and I'm pulling the pallets down. He goes, "Why are you doing that?" I said, "Because you didn't." He goes, but still, why are you doing that? You're the boss." I said, "No. I'm part of this team. It has to get done. And I want to show you that I'm not below you. I'm not above you like the other guy was. I'm going to sit here and work with you, and we're going to get it done." And from that point on, he was shocked. If I ever asked him to do something, he did it. When he needed something, he came to me. And, I wasn't afraid to get my hands dirty like some of these bosses are. They don't want to go clean the toilets. They don't want to do any of that nasty stuff. But I'd do it because, you know what? If I would ask somebody to do it, I would do it myself. I would never put somebody in to do something that I wouldn't do myself. I think that's just I think that's an important aspect of working and having the respect of somebody.
Yeah, no doubt. If it becomes even more important to get your hands dirty every once in a while, it's just to, I've been in my career for 23 years. I run jails for a living, so every once in a while I get to talk to deputies, line level deputies, and I'm in command staff now, and they start telling me about their problems and what they should do better and why we do it this way. And I'm always able to say, well, we do it this way. Here's the reason why. First, the law says to do it this way. Our accreditation says to do it this way. It's right by the people. It's right by the staff. And don't forget that I used to do your job. I'm more than and every once in a while I go down there. Then nothing surprises them more when I go down and offer a pat search. If I go down and search an inmate, hey, Captain, what are you doing? Why are you doing that? I said, well, I need to practice. I haven't done it in a little while. I got to make sure I can remember how to do it. I'll go down and help with escorts. Every once in a while, I'll even stand there and feed a meal, which is not easy to do. You got 50 guys coming to get a meal tray, and deputies are busy, and you get down there and stand there, and they look at you funny at first. What are you doing? And then they realize, well, shoot, Cap seems to know what he's doing still, which is good. It keeps them fired up, and but that also develops the opportunity to talk and have some good conversation and foster those relationships I was talking about earlier. So
now, how about listening? I think that's a key ingredient to being a good leader. Somebody can listen and not just try to automatically think about what they're going to say in return. I think a good leader would need to listen and absorb what they're listening to, and not just trying to say what they want to say and as soon as the guy's done talking.
Sure. When you're listening to somebody complain, truly, yes, your best bet is just sit there and keep your mouth shut, because they will talk and cry and complain. And as I'm listening, obviously, most people nowadays, typically, because there's such short attention spans, the Twitter character limit, we are just waiting to respond. Well, if you listen and hear the person out all the way, maybe your first initial response wouldn't be the best one. But if you give them the benefit of the doubt, and they talk and talk and talk, and then you don't always have to answer with a response. Sometimes it's easier to ask a question. Well, I want to do this, this, and this. I don't know why we're not doing it this way. Well, how would you do it? What do you mean? How would I do it? You're the boss. You're supposed to help me with this. No. How would you, in an ideal situation, if you were in charge, how would you do it today? Well, I take this situation, I turn it into this, and do this and this. Let's do it. What do you mean? Let's do it. Well, your idea. Let's go for it. I got your back. And a lot of times people back off and not be excited about that. All of a sudden, I'm in charge of this and I have responsibility. I have a situation recently where we had a line level staff member who has expressed interest in moving up. And when his immediate supervisor gave him a task to do that was a little bit out of his realm, fully capable of handling it, he kind of balked, and you kind of described the situation where the supervisor asked him, "Hey, get this done before I get back down here if you don't mind." Blah blah blah. It's a good opportunity for you. Well, I'm not his response was, "I'm not a supervisor. I don't get paid to do that." But you want to be a supervisor. I'm giving an opportunity to lead and show that you can be a supervisor, so we can help you, pad your resume a little bit, or prove that to the command staff that, hey, you're ready to move up to the next step. And your response was, I'm not a supervisor. I don't get paid to do that. But that goes a long way too.
Yeah. Now, how do you build trust in your employees or the people that you're around in your group to allow? Because I think trust is a very big key to this. If somebody doesn't trust you, it doesn't matter how you approach it. You're not going to get them to do anything, or they're going to be skeptical, and that's a big problem. And then on top of that, how do you get the people to do something without making them feel like they are below you?
Well, the first one, trust is easy. It's another word that starts with T. Tell them the truth, no matter what. Here's the situation. This is why we're doing this. The truth, even or better yet, hey, you get that question. Hey, do you know if the boss put in the budget for raises next year? No, he didn't. Well, why didn't he? Well, there's not enough revenue to support support a raise. Just that easy. It's just that simple for you. No, it's not. It sucks. Not getting a raise every year sucks. Sometimes you go without. Sometimes you score and you get one. But saying, yeah, the boss put it in there. Let's see what happens. Wait till the budget passes, then we'll know. And oh well, it wasn't in there. I would much rather know immediately that I'm not getting something I'm asking for, or if a training, I want to go to this training. Okay, well, I can't do it. You don't have enough people on the shift to cover you, for being gone for a week, so you can't go. But I'll tell you what, I'll get you into the next one. The key is then writing down the note, making sure that training comes around again. You reach out to that person. Hey, that training's available. We're going to send you to it. It's following up, and making sure the truth is always spoken. To your second question, how do you get people to do what they don't want to do? Basically, a lot of times, like you said earlier, you do it with them first, or a lot of times, especially with the newer generations, you got to explain the why. Here's the situation. This is what we're doing. And here's why. Now, an emergency, in my line of work, if there's an emergency or something like that, that's the only time that I'm going to come down and bark orders. It's not going to happen very often. I get the whole chain of command between me and the line staff typically. So what's going to be hitting the fan pretty good for me to be making immediate calls. But that's the only time. Otherwise, we have time. So let's discuss. Here's what we're dealing with. Here's what I propose, or how do you guys want to handle it? Do you have anybody else have any better ideas? Anybody have any input? All right, here's the plan. Let's go for it. The key is explaining the why and allowing for them to have some kind of say in their own life and how they respond to things, is including shift work. I mean, if it's one of the big things we have in our facility is we bid every 6 months, and it's a seniority-based bid. So the senior guys get to pick their shift, basically, and they stay on the shift for 6 months. And that's a huge motivator. Now, I remember beginning of last year, we did a rotation where it was an administrative rotation and a lot of new people. So I want to make sure there was a nice mix everybody got some experience on all the shifts. Man, did morale drop a little bit, because those guys who had the only thing they had control over was their shift and their bid. And I took that from them for a whopping 5 months. I didn't want to do it but the needs of the agency overtook. And eventually, every once in a while, the employees have the benefit of the doubt, typically, in my mind. But the overall needs of the agency, the functionality of the agency has got to come pretty much, a little bit higher than the employee. Luckily for us, it doesn't come up very often. So you just got to be, in there with them when it comes down to it. Explain it, and then allow them the opportunity to ask questions and provide feedback.
Now, a leader should be able to look at, like, let's just say you're looking at me and I'm your boss and I'm your employee, and you see some potential in me that maybe I don't see myself. How can a leader get that person to see what they don't see and get them to challenge themselves a little bit further?
I guess it depends on what kind of person you're looking at. That sounds kind of funny. Not everybody's the same. Clearly, if we're a bunch of androids or robots running around that were programmed to do things the exact same way, or to be handled the exact same way, that would be a lot easier, believe me. But it depends on the individual. Is that individual confident, a little boastful? But you see an opportunity where they could be a leader in general, but because of their boastfulness or their ego, people are turned off by them. You might have that conversation with them. Hey, listen, I see some great things in you. There's an opportunity here for some future growth. Where are you with your college degree? Where are you with your incentive courses or any kind of technical training? How's your writing skills? Are you interested in becoming a leader? Well, yeah, of course. Well, how's your interpersonal skills? How do you feel that your peers respect you? Well, if some of the guys are good and some like me and some don't, I don't really care. Well, that I don't really care is what's going to slow you down. So maybe you want to start building some relationships and starting to control some of the things you may say outwardly. Listen, leadership is not easy. If the minute you think that you've got it and you know everything about it, you're going to fail. It's going to blow up in your face. I like to say when I'm talking to people outside of work, I don't like advertising that but I have no problem saying that I'm always on the learn. But we're all students of leadership. There's no expert. There are people that claim to be experts, and then there are some people that I tend to follow podcasts and read their books. Those are the guys that are humble about it, have great advice, but will never say, I'm the guru. You want to follow me. But it's about the person. Again, everything and any question you ask, it'll come back to that relationship topic where I started. So if you develop a relationship with that subordinate or that employee who is boastful or lack confidence or shows up late, if you have that relationship, eventually you can have that candid conversation with them. Listen, if you want to have any kind of success here, you need to be here on time, or you need to be willing to temper what you're saying to people and watch how you're saying it, because they're taking it wrong and they think you're a jerk. And there are some people I have that I work with that I can speak that frankly with. Listen, man, you're being a jerk right now. You want to step back. And they'll be like, okay, cool. But if I said that the exact same way to another employee, they would break down and cry, potentially call HR. Hey, the boss is being mean to me. Those you gotta. Yeah. The relationship is the key, making sure you know your audience. You got to be careful, though.
Now, in general, I believe that anybody can do anything that they put their minds to it, if they have that passion enough to keep it going. That's what I talk about on the show all the time. Does everybody have the potential to be a leader? And that could be a yes or no. I mean, if it's no, I understand that it's no, because it depends on the people. But do you believe that anybody can be a leader if they really want to deep inside?
Yes, but the question is to what level? There was a book that I read. It's called The Peter Principle, that describes situations where, and say in a hierarchy of a line staff all the way to a number one all the way to a 10 being the CEO. Some people can promote up to line level 1, level 2, level 3, be successful, keep going until they get to where they could be the CEO and be fine. Some people get to that level 3 and then move on to level 4, and then the Peter principle slaps on the face and they say, you know what, I tapped out at 3. So either I need to step back down to level 3, or my supervision is going to prove that, hey, you need to go back to level 3, or you need to get out of the business because you're not handling what you're supposed to be doing. But that depends on the individual, because leadership I'm going to say this, it's going to sound weird. Leadership can't be taught; it can only be learned. If that makes sense. You can't be forced to go into a class about, hey, I'm going to learn how to be a manager today. I'm going to learn how to be a leader. It's easier to learn how to be a manager than a leader. It's not as it's not comfortable all the time. It's not fun all the time. It's not easy all the time. It's a challenge. It should be a challenge every day. But it's up to the person. If they want to work at it and they want to, strive to do it, there's plenty of information out there. Plenty of books, plenty of advice, plenty of podcasts, plenty of just people that are willing to mentor. If you go on LinkedIn nowadays, if you have a big enough fan base or a follower base on LinkedIn, eventually LinkedIn will ask you, do you want to be a mentor? Do you want to offer, career advice to people? Here's your resume is available. Would you make yourself available to ask people questions or allow them to ask you questions? It's plenty of information out there. So it's up to the individual if they want to learn it. You can't be forced into it. It's something you have to have a passion for, a drive for.
I remember reading in the Bible and hearing in school that, the Bible says to beware of false prophets. And unfortunately, those are the people that lead you astray. That they have an alternative motive behind of whatever they're doing, and they're trying to steer you away from God. And there's a lot of televangelists that are like that, but they seem sincere, but then you see what they've really done on the other side. Now, that being said, that same thing applies to people that are leaders and are sitting there actually, saying, I can help you with this. Some of them are not leaders. You can tell by their demeanor. And like you said, the people that say, I am the one, and stuff. How can we sit there and really make sure that the materials we're looking at and learning from and the people that we're looking up to are leader quality, so that way we don't get led astray by a false prophet?
What's funny is two people that I enjoy learning from. John Maxwell is one of them, and he's a good Christian man. And he's got I do my research on who I'm going to read or who I'm going to try to follow. They got to have some kind of resume. You're not going to come out of high school unless even if you're the team captain on the football team, you're not going to come out of high school and be some kind of leadership guru. You got to have some real life, I'm going to say it's street cred. I didn't believe in develop myself as any kind of manager or leader. I've been pretty successful up until like 4 years ago. Then I got interested in it and really finding out what's actually out there I read so many books now. And if I can give any bit of advice, and anybody who wants to do that, you need to read. But be careful what you're reading. Vet it. That's what to your question. And the other key person I like to follow is he leads a company called Echelon Front. His name's Jocko Willink. You and I have discussed him just a little bit before. You wouldn't want to meet him in an alley at night. The dude could smoke you. He's I want to say 3rd or 4th degree level black belt in jiu-jitsu and Navy SEAL. He led the teams that took cleared Fallujah in Iraq and made it safe. But he's got some cred. You look at his resume and what he's done, and the way they do their extreme ownership and the dichotomy of leadership and their books that they've produced. It's so simple, and they've dumbed it down to where anybody can understand it. It's just all about taking responsibility for yourself and truly about forming relationships. So.
I have a big respect for people that sit there and admit to what went wrong, as opposed to trying to always pass the buck.
Absolutely.
And I see that so often today. I mean, it's just like, whether you agree with Trump or not, they're trying to blame him for the war in Syria. Now, the war in Syria went on during Obama, but they're trying to pass the buck. And during Obama's 8 years, he kept pointing the finger at Bush, and nothing changed. But he's the leader at this point. You need to, if it doesn't change up because of you, obviously you're also part of that problem. And, this is what I have a big problem with, is everybody always passing the buck. It's never anybody's fault. It's always somebody else's fault. And I have a big respect for people that actually take responsibility for whatever happened, even if it's horrific. I mean, if I would have had a little bit more respect for Hillary if she had said, I did that, I called that, it was a bad call, and it killed people in Benghazi. I would have had a lot more respect for her, as opposed to pawning it off on a movie parody that was based upon the Islamic religion. I have a big problem with that. These are the people that are running our country. These are the people that we're supposedly looking up to and trusting to run our lives. And this is what they're doing. I think a good leader can take responsibility for whatever they did, take the lumps, and make it right along the way, even if it can't be done today. But they will make it right along the way somehow, some way.
I was given an opportunity one time to take over a unit that I had no knowledge of on how to operate. I go from being a jail commander to my boss gave me an opportunity to be an HR director, human resources. I know nothing about it. At the time, I didn't have a college degree. I knew nothing about human resources, but I knew this. I knew the group was tired. The group that was in there were worn out. They've had some bad runs. Their supervisor at the time got transferred, made a couple of mistakes that resulted in them having to move that member out of there. And I had a meeting right away. First thing was this. I said, listen, I don't know what you do, but I guarantee you in the next couple of months, I will know what you do. I won't know it as well as you, but I'll be able to have an intelligent conversation with you. And know this, I'm here to help you. I'm here, most importantly, to take the heat, not the credit. So whatever goes wrong back here is on my shoulders. That's what I'm paid for. And anything that goes right, any successes we have, your names are going to be attached to it when it goes up the chain of command to talk about it. And they were blown away by that. It's like they've never heard of such a thing. But that's one thing about where I work now. I think most of my management team, most of my supervisors feel the same way. If their guys and girls do something great, that gets run up, their name attached to it. This person had this great idea, and this is what we're going to do. But if something goes wrong, listen, I should have caught it. It's on me. Absolutely should have. I should have saw that. It's on me. And tell you what, if you have a boss that you're working for, exactly what I say. If you have a boss that you're working for and something goes wrong, and you come in and say, boss, this is what happened. We identified this issue. This is how we found out. This is what we're doing to fix it. This is what we're doing and to make sure it doesn't happen in the future. Okay, well, bosses get frustrated. They have nobody to yell at. They have not yell at necessarily, but there's nobody to discipline necessarily, unless it's a severe situation. But if it was a severe situation, that would have been in the same situation. This person, we want to make sure we train them up, but this is so egregious that we had to document it to make sure we're going to make sure that person doesn't make that mistake again and the agency is protected. But if you line out a plan, if you come in with a question and answers, usually the boss is they're disarmed at that point. There's no reason to get fired up. So.
Well, we're running out of time, but I do have one question that I would love to ask you. And working in the corrections facility, you see a lot of people that have made a lot of bad mistakes.
Sure.
I don't truly believe that they're all bad people. Sometimes they just made a bad choice. What have you learned about humanity working around those people and working and seeing the people outside that have never been through the corrections department and hopefully never have to?
Sure. A lot of people make a lot of bad choices. A lot of those choices are related to addiction of some sort. People that end up, stealing cars or burglarizing houses are usually going after some kind of drug. It's taken me close to 2 decades to realize it's, not everybody that's in jail is bad. When I first started my job 23 years ago, I remember looking at, there's no computers then, and I remember looking at the cards in the housing units that showed all the inmates and what they did. And for a while, I would read their charges, first-degree murder, capital sexual battery, burglary. And eventually I'm like, you know what? You got to, sadly, just like your staff, when you're running a jail, if you treat the inmates with respect, And I'm not saying necessarily form relationships, but maintain a professional relationship where same things. If an inmate asks you for something and you can get it for them, that's, that they're supposed to have, make sure you do. But they're just people. And when you establish that you're going to be a person and treat them with respect, you're never going to have a problem. I have, and knock on wood, in 23 years, I have never been spit on. I have never been attacked personally. I've never been, I've been cussed at, but I've never been physically attacked, spit on. Sometimes you get some other things thrown on you that you wouldn't want thrown on you. It's never happened to me. And I think that's because I've always treated them with respect. I was always firm, and I was always making sure the rules were being enforced, but I was consistent. And I remember it was a great day for me when I walked into a housing unit one day, and a group of inmates said, "Oh crap, it's Klucznik." And it wasn't because they didn't like me. It was because they knew they were going to be held accountable that day. But I'd have problems. They hadn't any problems. And the inmates would start policing themselves. Man, don't mess with him because he doesn't mess with us. I hold him accountable, but I'm not going to go in there just some people have been known to just be stupid. And there's been horror stories about how officers or guards treat inmates. And that's the punishment in any setting like that is being trapped in the room, is being trapped in a building. You can't go home. That's the punishment. We should not be offering any other kind of corporal punishment, abuse, physical abuse, anything like that. So once you realize that you treat them with respect, typically you're going to get it back. They're people, and they've all made mistakes. And eventually, in my setting, they're going to go to state prison or they're going to go back to your community. So if they're going back to your community, you want them to walk out a little bit better than they were. So that's our goal.
And respect is earned; it's not given. So that's one of the things that I think people forget all the time. But we run out of time. Thanks for coming on and talking about this. This is definitely something we're going to be bringing up again more and more because I think it's something that the people really need to listen to. And maybe it will change their lives. Maybe they'll look at something a little differently next time they go into work or into their community and see something. And maybe they can kind of become a leader themselves. And I hope that people will. I really hope that they are able to do that. And if they are, I encourage them. And I know you probably do the same thing.
Absolutely.
So, guys, we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we have more. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this. What do you want? You want Gladys Goodies? You want to try chicken? How about turkey? You want to try turkey? You never tried sweet potato before. How about we give you a sweet potato? It might help your stomach. You do? Well, there's only one place to get it, and that is GladysGoodies.com, where you can get the chicken, the turkey, the sweet potato, salmon, beef, and more. Should we show them the website one more time so they know where to get it? Well, I'm going to listen to puppies, so here's the website. If you want all natural, healthy treats with no chemicals, byproducts, or other harmful ingredients, GladysGoodies.com is the place for you. We got the treats and the swag to make their tails wag.
If you liked the show today, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, share, and comment below. You can also find us on Instagram, Facebook at The AME Experience, also Twitter at The AMEEX, and of course you can find us at www.theamemagazine.com.
Hey everybody, we are back, and as I promised, we have another great guest on. This girl, I have known her since she was 9, and she has grown up so fast. And she has been doing some amazing things through her life. She's been on my radio show quite a few times, but now she's actually on our television show. Her name is Aiyana-Lee Anderson, and she's a singer, she's an actress, and she's a model. And I don't even know how she got into the modeling. I just kind of saw it one day on her Facebook, but no matter what, I'm so proud of her and what she's accomplished and how she's going after her dreams. She hasn't let anything stop her. And what I love about it the most is that her mom is right beside her, supporting her and pushing her to be her best. We're going to be talking to her about a lot of different things. We're going to be talking to her about her music, because I know she's got some new music coming out, and she's infusing her own style, which has taken her a little bit of time to find, but she's finally found it. Then we're going to be talking to her about the modeling industry. What does it mean? And I have a big hang up about modeling a lot, because of the fact that some of these women and some of the men are forced to physically change their bodies in order to fit a role. We're going to be talking to her about that, what she's seen, and what she believes. I personally believe that you should not change your body for any reason for any type of job or situation like this, because you know what? It's your health. So we're gonna get her insight on this, her acting career, and so much more. You ready? Let's go talk to Aiyana-Lee right now. Hey everybody, we are back. I have a dear friend of mine. Her name is Aiyana-Lee Anderson. I've actually been talking to her since she was probably 9, and she is an actor, a singer, and she's also a model. And we have got a lot of catching up. She's never been on the television show, but we're happy to introduce her here today on this. So welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here. This is so interesting.
I know it's something I've wanted to do because I like that it brings people close to the people that I actually talk with, so they can see a face and kind of get an idea of a little bit more about you than just hearing the voices. So this is going to be fun. You've been doing a lot of stuff since I last talked to you. Last time I talked to you, you were releasing your very first single over here in the United States. That's been a while. So let's play catch up. What have you been up to?
Oh my gosh, it's just been a lot. I with music, from that point, I just kind of grew so much, and now I actually just finished my album. I signed a deal for a while. I was figuring out my whole music thing, and I put together an album that really is cohesive and true to me as an artist, which is really hard to find that for a lot of people. And it's like I've gone through so many different genres that I got to a point where I realized who I was. And it's exciting. It's very exciting. I'm excited to put it out and get a team together. I'm in the middle of negotiating with that, so I'm very excited to find the right team. And then on the acting side, I've been doing so many different things. And I was actually in the UK a few months ago, so I actually got to do a short film over there, which was really fun, which should come out like next year. And then on the modeling side, I was supposed to do actually LA Fashion Week this time around, but I was so busy with the music, so I was like, I can't do that right now, so I put that aside. So a lot's been going on. I've actually did do a Dolls Kill campaign though. On the modeling side. So I've still been doing a lot of different things. I'm excited. There's a lot going on. I did a campaign on that, and now I'm just really focusing in on the music and the hub of everything that kind of connects everything. So I'm excited.
That is exciting. And what you said there, you were having a hard time finding yourself in the music, identifying who you wanted to be in music. That is something that happens to a lot of artists in all the genres. And once you figure that out, that is the most important part, because it defines you as that artist. And it's kind of like a relief in many ways.
Yeah, because the thing is, if you don't know who you are as an artist, the industry will put a certain mold onto you. So it's very, very important to go into it knowing who you are, because then it's like you can sign a deal and they'll be like, okay, well, let's put this team around you. We're going to do this kind of music, put this on you. You're going to look like this. This is how you're going to act. You know what I mean? So it's not organic anymore. So I feel like it's so important as an artist to know who you are, because then everyone's going to create what they see you as, instead of what you are supposed to be, So it's hard, because you get a lot of people, and it's like, even with music, it's like you can go into one team and they don't like your music, you know what I mean? And then you go into another and they're like, whoa, this is the greatest thing ever. Or you go to another team and they're like, well, I think you should be doing this kind of music because you look this way and it would just make sense with that. And it's really hard. So really knowing who you are as an artist and what you stand for and what kind of music you want to do is so important. And then building the team around that is key, really, and same with creators, as well, coming to the team.
And you're not the only one that's ever dealt with that. We just heard about Lady Gaga going through the same thing. It almost took her out of music completely. And it like she said, she got molded and it went a different way, and she wasn't feeling it anymore, and she completely lost all her creative vibes, and that kills you.
It really does. And then you ask yourself, why am I doing this if it's everybody else's vision and not mine? So it's important. And I feel, especially as a young artist, it's easier for the industry to manipulate you into different molds. Or, sometimes you'll go into a situation and they'll be like, oh, well, this artist is trending right now. We need another artist exactly like that. But the reason that artist is trending right now is because they're like no other artist that's going on.
Exactly.
Right? So it's like you have to really believe in artists that are trying to do something different, because these are the ones that are actually going to be, you know, the leaders of the next age, the new generation of artists. You know what I mean? So I feel like that should be more encouraged in the industry, being unique, being different, standing out, you know, and just being true to yourself, to be honest, you know, especially as a young person going into all of it, you know, it's hard.
So now that we know that you were on your path, what did you land on? What is Aiyana-Lee's signature sound, your genre, your passion? What style is it?
Well, you know, the melodies of it is pop. It's something that anyone can hear and still hum to. You know what I mean? But the undertones of it is it's got a rock edge to it that really sets it apart from everything else. And my voice is so soulful, so that completely creates its own genre in itself, you know? So even with the production, it's like we got to play around with it so much, especially because I got to be involved and co-produce the whole thing. So it's like meshing genres together and being able to be like, okay, this is a pop melody, but what can we do to not make it be boxed in one space? So it's like putting like rock undertones of electric guitars and like drums and just crazy production that maybe you wouldn't expect. Especially, you know, the thing is in the industry is like people would look at me and be like, oh, you know, maybe you should do Disney. Maybe you should put this one or be super pop. So now when people hear my music, they're like, whoa, okay, but that was like not at all what I was expecting. So it's cool. It's like a little surprise I got on the back pocket. It's like, hey, you know, I got my edge to it, you know. And you know, my whole thing right now with my album is like the whole thing is monster of my own creation. That's what it's called. And for me, it's really representing the world perceiving you as a monster for standing up for yourself or fighting for yourself. Or, you know, a lot of times especially as a female in the industry, you're called a lot of not so great names for knowing what you want and being powerful. You know, a man can go in and be powerful and say certain things and be called a boss, you know? So for me, it's like I took this word monster and I really created it to be something more uplifting, because to me, my monster is very powerful. It's the power, it's the energy of that. So that's what I just want to represent in my music, is that power, that energy, that strength, and I just want to be empowering, you know? And, you know, with my music, the sound is very, very, very strong. And my voice is very powerful. The lyrics are very powerful. What I'm trying to say is very relatable. And I feel like a lot of people try to kind of shadow over the things that I try to say, you know, and the things I've been through and all of us go through. And as a girl and as a young person in general, and even older, it's like you go through these stages in life where people try to put you down, you know, and sometimes people shame you for standing up for yourself. So I just want to create a space where people are comfortable with their power.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. I wouldn't expect anything less from you, because that's just the way you are. And I've always admired that about you. But you know what? I was one of those people too. You know, if I did something, I was always an overachiever, or they would attack me in different ways. I was bullied my entire life, and I embraced that monster. You know, that's made me stronger with who I am. People could throw anything at me, and I will always come out okay. May you know, be underwater for a few minutes, but I'm not under there too long. And you know, if people like that can use the negatives to a positive, like you're doing here, you can make a huge impact on the world around you, and the people that listen, and the people that follow you, and people that love you.
Yeah, and that's really important, and I'm glad that you said that, because it's something that I feel like everyone has their own story of, you know, their own version of going through that. So it's really amazing to see and just be able to create that world. I want to create a world and give a voice to people who, you know, feel the same way, but don't know how to say it, don't know how to feel about it, or maybe don't think it's even okay to feel that way, you know, because they have nobody else to be like, you know what, you know, it's okay. It's okay to feel the way you do, and going through these ups and downs and things that people really don't talk about, especially in the age of social media where we only put the highlight reel on there. It's like nobody is sharing the reality, you know, and then you feel like you are doing something wrong, or there's something wrong with you for not being happy all the time, you know, because that's all anybody shows, or their lavish lifestyles. But little do you know, it's like the things behind the scenes, or this person's dealing with depression, or this person's dealing with this. So it's with the age of social media, it kind of misconstrues like the whole reality of the world and what is normal, you know, because it isn't normal what's being portrayed. You know, it isn't. You know.
And I know that all too well. That is a fake front. You know, social media is terrible in many ways. I mean, people either put out what they want you to see, but really that's not who they are, or what I like to call is artificial popularity. You know, because you can go out there and make yourself real popular, and outside, if they met you outside, they wouldn't even recognize you from who you are in your post. You're like, it's like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and it's a crazy situation that social media has posed not only on adults but children too.
Yeah, and kids are growing up with social media, you know, and you look at the pictures on there, and it's like it really creates a problem for you, you know, because you're looking also at bodies that aren't real, you know, and you're growing up seeing that every single day, and you start to wonder, am I normal? Is my body supposed to look that way? Why is this all I see? You know, and there isn't real bodies really being portrayed at all, you know, and it creates problems for young people. It's like you grow up with this, and then you start to have issues and body dysmorphia and all these things that lead to depression, and then leads to another thing, and it leads to another thing. And there's so many people that are dealing with that on a daily basis. And even the people who post those pictures aren't even happy with themselves. And that's a sad thing. Nobody's happy. No one gains from this, you know? So I think just showing the reality and pulling back the curtain would help us as a society, you know? And it's sad to see, you know. I have friends who deal with this on a daily basis, you know? Yeah. And you know, it's like everyone has the same face. You know, it's like a copy paste of each other. Yeah. It's like nobody is embracing anything human. Period. Like whether that's emotion wise, whether that's, you know, just the way they portray themselves as being perfect all the time, you know, it's like it's almost like being human is looked at as a negative, you know. So I think it's time for artists and people who have influence to say no, that's not how it is, you know.
Oh yeah, and you know what you've been saying? You just said exactly what I've been saying, being in the photography industry for a long time.
Wow.
And it bothers me. And now I pick up the social media or news and everything, and everybody's ashamed of who they are. I don't want to be black. I don't want to be white. I don't want to be gay. I don't want to be straight. It's like, yeah, who cares? You got to be who you are, and that's very important. And if we constantly wish to be somebody else because that's how we're pushing it on people, that's very dangerous.
It is. And there's so many celebrities and people that it's like a lot of people try to be the exact version of another person on a daily basis. This is scary, you know? And the thing is, when you focus on trying to be someone else for so long, you forget who you are. You don't even know who you are, especially growing up. It's like when you constantly are trying to be someone else, you like wake up and realize I know nothing about myself. And nothing, you know? And I know a lot of people, because when you live in LA, you see it. It's very obvious. Everyone talks about it. You see it and people are dealing with it. That's why there's so many depressed people out here, you know, but it's so disguised and masked, you know, with, you know, the designer clothes and makeup and masked with a million different things and the Lamborghinis and all this success. But it's when it comes down to it, everyone feels alone, you know.
Yeah.
You know, even the people who are surrounded by a million different friend groups and a million different people, they are alone. That's how they feel like. And that's why I think that the human side needs to be brought out more, because no one's honest about their feelings, you know, and they try to party it away, or they try to do drugs or alcohol, and they get into a million different things, you know, and it's devastating to see. It's devastating.
Oh,
Truly.
yeah.
Yeah.
Now, speaking about what we just spoke about, you know, obviously you've seen it on both sides, not only growing up as a child, you know, turning into an adult, going through high school, but now you're also kind of getting into it through modeling. So I'm really interested because one day I just picked up, you know, Facebook, there you were modeling. And I was like, wow, how did that happen? So first of all, tell me how you got into that in the first place. And then tell me what the aspect is like on your side for modeling. I mean, I know what it is for mine and what they want me to do and what they want me to edit, and I used to refuse to do it. Yeah. But tell me a little bit about how you got into it and what you have to deal with as a model yourself.
Well, for me, it's like a lot of people had always told me, oh, you should do modeling. Oh, you should do modeling. This was always a thing in my life that people had told me would be, you know, a cool thing. And I decided personally to go into it just to meet people, to be honest, you know, just to use a different platform for myself to be able to promote my music and, you know, my work. Because it's like you have a, you know, let's say you have a campaign, you know, people look at you, they're like, oh, this model, let me look at her on, you know, social media, on Instagram. Oh, she's actually doing music. Let me see how her music sounds like, you know, and it kind of leads to this whole thing of just knowing who you are and, you know, listening to going back to the music. That's what it was for me. But, you know, I've done a lot of shows, I've done a lot of different campaign work, and it's really, really sad the things you see as a model. And, you know, I'm 18, I have, you know, a regular body type, you know, I'm the sizes that they need technically. But if you have a little bit of a butt or boobs or anything that's against what they, you know, what they usually look for, it's like you're fat, you're this, you're that, you're curvy, you're not good enough, you should lose 10 pounds or this or that. And the saddest thing I remember seeing at a runway show is they were putting all these girls, lining them up, and literally this woman like sat down and literally looked at each girl's thigh and like literally compared each and every one of these girls. And these are like 16, 15-year-old girls. You know what I mean? And to see that and be like, okay, you're out, you know, you're out because of somebody's body, and have like thinking of these girls going home with that and thinking about that and internalizing that is scary. And the stories I've heard of bulimia and these girls being like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go in the bathroom and do this, and I'm not gonna eat today, or all these different things. It's terrifying, and it's completely dangerous and I refused to be part of that. Even when people told me, oh, you need to lose weight or you need to do that, I was there with a burger because first of all, I love food. You know what I mean? And I'm a teenager. Like that's the craziest thing as a teenager. You have a fast metabolism, or maybe you don't. Hey, you know, and not everyone's the same. It's like, but you're growing up into your body. You're growing into the body you're gonna have. And when you do stuff like that to your body and you're vomiting or you're not eating, it completely it's dangerous because you're not even fully developed as a person. Your body is still growing. And a lot of cases, it's like you will end up in the hospital. You will. I know friends who have. So it's a very dangerous game, and it's something that I've never, ever subscribed to. Even as a model, you know, I always spoke out about it. You know, anytime I had an interview, I would always say what the reality was. And, you know, I got to a place where it's like, if you want me in your show, cool, but I'm not changing. You know, I'm
glad you said that.
No, I'm not going to change. You know, if this modeling agency doesn't want me, or this thing doesn't want me, or this show doesn't want to have me in their show because I'm too curvy for them, you know, then I don't want to even be part of it.
I'm so glad you said that, because you know what? There's not $1 bill that you can earn that is worth your health. And I've told that to anybody that's ever come out to my shoots, and they're like, well, what about this? I don't care about that. I brought you on because I like exactly who you are. I don't want you to change. I do not want you to change for me. And as a photographer, I actually like curves. I like scars. I like wrinkles. I like that stuff because that's your story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I love that. It's beautiful. Being human, again, it's like we're not supposed to be Barbie dolls. We're not. That's not who we are. And I love that, brands are trying to be more inclusive, and, you have Rihanna creating her lines, and you have certain people, key people in this world, in this industry that are trying to make a difference. But I think that the modeling industry as a whole needs to change, because you still have girls crying. You still have girls going to the hospital. I got an article from one of the agents that I knew, and it was about suicide, about this model who committed suicide over all of this and over being so stressed out about her body. And I just, seeing that is crazy to me. It's crazy how severe it is, and how tragic it can really end, and how many lives it can affect. So really, anybody going to this industry and through this industry, it's important to be aware, that you need to create a barrier for yourself, and really stand for your health. It's as simple as that. You have to. And you know what? If they don't want you, someone else will, It's as simple as that.
Well, you know what? We have burned up the time already. I cannot believe it's time to go. That is awesome. But you know what? What a great conversation. I expected nothing less. That's one of the reasons why I wanted you on here. And tell everybody how they can follow you, see you. Do you have websites, anything you got coming up? And of course, tell everybody about your album that you're going to be dropping here soon.
So you can find me on social media. My Instagram is at I am Aiyana-Lee. It's AIYANALEE. And then I have a website that I post a lot of updates on, and that's www.aiyana-lee.com. I'm releasing an album. I don't know when. I am finding the right team. I'm in the middle of a few negotiations, so we'll see how that goes. But I hope to drop it next year. I'm very excited about it. And I'm just excited for the future. And I'm really, really grateful that you invited me on your awesome show. Like, you're doing great work, and I'm glad that you're spreading this message and just, being you. So thank you. Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. And you know what? You're a part of the AME family. You always will be. And if I can ever help you out along the way, you're just, all I have to do is just, hit me up, and we'll make it happen. But thank you for coming on. This has been a lot of fun. You are wise beyond your age, I could say. And I hope that everybody that's watching this will be able to, take that advice and listen to it and take it to heart and use it. So, thank you for coming on, and we'll definitely see you again soon.
Thank you. Yes, definitely.
All right, guys, we have to take a quick commercial break, pay some bills, but we will be right back after this.
If any other industry tried to do something like this, they'd go to jail.
Stuart Venner helps people out of timeshares. He warns we're pawns.
Yes, we are.
Venner says timeshares lose so much value they're nearly worthless when buyers opt to sell.
If you can get anything, it's really a miracle.
When there aren't any nibbles, Venner's tried giving deeds back to developers, but he says they refuse.
They're telling people it's worth $15,000, $20,000, $30,000, and I offer it to them for nothing, and they don't want it back.
Finance guru Dave Ramsey goes farther, labeling timeshares one of the biggest scams to.
Are you stuck with a timeshare? Did you attend the presentation and were seduced and enticed into buying that great vacation and investment? Now you're in the terrible position of trying to figure out a way to get out of that mess. You're not alone. For over 15 years, BuyYourTimeshare.com has been helping people like yourself get out of timeshare ownership. The fact is, there is no resale market. Unscrupulous telemarketers call you and say they have buyers waiting, and the next thing that happens is you give them hundreds of dollars for an ad, and you'll never hear from them again. Another fact is that an identical timeshare to yours is being offered on eBay for $1, and no one is buying it. If you want out of your timeshare, I urge you to go to BuyYourTimeshare.com or call them at 877-94-HELP-ME. That number again is 877-94-HELP-ME. Buyyourtimeshare.com. That's buyyourtimeshare.com. 877-94-HELP-ME. 877-94-HELP.
What do you want? You want Gladys Goodies? You want to try chicken? How about turkey? You want to try turkey? You never tried sweet potato before. How about we give you a sweet potato? It might help your stomach. You do? Well, there's only one place to get it, and that is GladysGoodies.com, where you can get the chicken, the turkey, the sweet potato, salmon, beef, and more. Should we show them the website one more time so they know where to get it? Well, I'm going to listen to Puppy, so here's the website. If you want all natural, healthy treats with no chemicals, byproducts, or other harmful ingredients, GladysGoodies.com is the place for you. We got the treats and the swag to make their tails wag.
All right, everybody, we are back. We're closing out the show. I'm so glad you spent some time with me today. You know, I love doing this. I love going on all these adventures. I love talking to such amazing people, giving you point of view adventures. That's what this whole AME television show is all about. But we're not just limited to what we're talking about with arts. We're also going to bring in politics. We're going to bring in different points of view. This is really an eclectic show. So I hope you continue to tune in because we've got some more guests coming up in the near future. So, before you go, check out our website. It's www.theamemagazine.com. When you're there, you'll be able to see all the links to all of our shows, the radio, television, and magazine. If you miss something, it's there. Go be inspired. You can also see the links to our social media networks, our Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. You can also sign up for our newsletter and download our apps on our Apple or Android platform completely free so you can see what's in the know and have the AME experience in your hands at all times. So until then, guys, we have more coming up. I know you're not gonna want to miss it. Keep checking the website to see who we got coming out, and keep those creative juices flowing. We'll see you on the next adventure. If you liked the show today, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, share, and comment below. You can also find us on Instagram, Facebook at The AME Experience, also Twitter at The AMEEX, and of course you can find us at www.theamemagazine.com.
Like, OMG, you were on TV and junk.